So as we're getting ready to land, the flight attendant gets on our little intercom and she puts out a little bit of information, just a little warning about some of the crazy stuff in Singapore that I didn't know about, and definitely saved probably my family of four from going to jail, if not owing hundreds of thousands of dollars. But we'll get back to that a little bit later in the video. All right, so myself and my family recently flew to Singapore. Um, we were actually going to meet a cruise, to get on the cruise, go. But when we came back, we stayed in Singapore for a couple days to explore and see what it's all about. I'm here to share that with you. If you watched my last video, you know I got a 5-point inspection kind of rating system that I do, where I rate these 5 categories on a scale of 1 to 10 from my perspective, which is that of a father with a family going every place with kids, right? So the first thing we look at is cost. We'll look at cleanliness. We'll look at transportation. We'll look at things to do, and we'll look at welcomeness. I'll talk a little bit more about that in my first travel rating, which the link will be down here in the description of this video. All right, so let's get into cost. Singapore is stupid expensive, and we knew this a little bit as we were making our reservations. We could tell the hotels were here were way more expensive than anywhere else, and you got a lot less. So instead of like a nice family suite for 150 bucks, we were getting a single room just smashed full of beds for 250, $350, right? And that's US dollars, not the Singapore. So we knew it was pretty expensive when we arrived. But when we got there, after our cruise and we really got out in town and got to see things, we were really taken aback by the cost. It was a little bit crazy. Even the market food. So I talked a little bit about this in my first video, right? Seoul, Korea was kind of expensive, but if you went to the market, it was stupid cheap. So it all evened out. Not in Singapore. It was expensive at the regular like chain places, and it's expensive at the markets. They have these cool food markets called hawkers. Awesome food, still expensive. So on my scale of 1 to 10 for cost, I gave Singapore a 3.5, right? The lower the score, the higher the cost. The higher the score, the lower the cost is how it goes. And we'll get a glimpse of that later on. And the next category that we talk about is cleanliness. So where Singapore lacks in like the cost, where it's bad there, the cleanliness comes back in. Everything is spotless. Our first night there, our hotel, we did see a giant rat like scurry away from the cab as we pulled up, and we're like, oh, here we go. Stupid expensive hotels filled with rats. It's going to be awful. That was the only thing. Every place we went from then on was stupid clean. These hawkers, it's like a crazy little market, right? They had people walking around like taking your plates and making sure everything went in the right garbage can. Just everything about every place we went was very, very, very clean. And there's a good reason for that that we'll talk about a little bit later. But it was everywhere. Like I said, it's not. We didn't find any parts, and we walked all over the city for days. We did not find dirty parts of Singapore. Very clean. So in the cleanliness category, I gave Singapore a 9. Next category we talk about is transportation. Transportation, get a low score if there's just garbage and you have to walk everywhere. It gets a high score if you don't worry about it. It's stupid cheap, easy to use, even for dumb Americans, right? So Singapore, it was pretty good actually. Their taxis were a little bit expensive, but really compared to the rest of everything, they were reasonable. The taxis were not that bad for some of the distances we traveled, but they also had pretty good subways. Stops are easy to navigate, get out, go where you're going. Buses to compensate where the trains don't go, and that wasn't that expensive. Very easy, very cheap. So I gave it, and clean again, right? Nice and clean. For transportation, again, I gave them a 9. Third category is things to do. You get a low score if there's nothing to do. I think in my examples, I say like it'd be more fun to just go sit in a cornfield and stare at the corn stalks than it would be to go to these places. And the high score, you could stay there for a lifetime and never do anything. I will say that there was so much to do in Singapore. There's this little island called Sentosa, and it's like the tourist spot, right? So it's got a like a street luge you can do there. We definitely did that, and it was amazing. It's got resorts, it's got beautiful beaches, it's got huge playgrounds, it's got music, like big amphitheaters, amphitheaters outside where they have bands just out there rocking. Obviously, there's bars that go along with that. But that's not it. That's a huge place, and there's a lot of tourists there with tons to do. But outside of Sentosa, there's the Marina Sands, that big crazy hotel. It looks like a ship in the sky. Um, that was there, and that's its own thing, right? The hotel has different things. It's got its cool up in the sky restaurant you can go to. It's got its Marina Sands Garden, which is like the biggest, most beautiful, most diverse, interesting, even for a guy who doesn't like gardens. Garden. We went in there. I enjoyed it. My kids enjoyed it. Wife definitely enjoyed it. Um, while we were there, they had a huge Christmas market. We used to love the Christmas markets in Germany, so we were really excited when we went down there. And it wasn't quite the same, but it was still very, very nice. Christmas market. It was kind of cool. Stupid expensive. I think we rode bumper cars, and it was like $12 per person for like 45 seconds of bumper cars. It was not a great cost value, but it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun. Um, there's a ton of other stuff too, right? Singapore is known for these merlions, so they have these big statues of a mermaid slash lion that spits water. There's a couple of those around. They sell chocolates shaped like merlions that are delicious. A bunch of merlion things. There's the cool markets and hawkers that we already talked about. Cool things to buy there. Lots of antiques, really really cool antiques to buy. And the hawkers just have amazing food. Anything you can want. One of the cruise we were on had like a TV that talked all about the hawkers, and we went and found this supposedly famous booth, and it was really good. Um, but I could go on and on, right? There's temples, there's Little India, Little Italy, Chinatown, all these cool places that are their own unique thing to see. We stayed, I think we were like right on the border of Little Italy, real close to Little India. We got to do both. It's really cool. So for things to do, obviously there's a lot. I give it a 9. Um, Last category, uh, one that I haven't come to. I've traveled a lot by myself, and I kind of don't really care too much about this in that instance. But with the family, this definitely matters, and that's welcomeness. How much you're welcome, right? So a low score is going to be like it's not safe to be there. A 1 is you shouldn't be there. You should get your family out of there fast. And a 10 is basically you're adopted. So Singaporeans were very, very nice. They were cordial, but it didn't 100% seem genuine. Lots of smiles, like, haha, yeah, welcome to Singapore. Go ahead, your airport's that way. You can just board a plane right up on out of here. So nice, but you could tell they wouldn't have their feelings hurt if we just left right then and there. Um, so, not the best. I give it a 4. I might be being a little rough here because it wasn't that bad. I just got like an internal feeling like, oh, these guys are probably not so happy that we're here. Anyway, that's my opinion. So moving on. The final score is coming right up. First, we're going to talk about coming in, right? So we're landing, and the flight attendant gets on, and she's like, "Hey, just so everyone knows, Singapore's a little bit different. You can't bring gum into the country. You can be jailed or fined if customs finds gum. Yep, that's like chewing gum. If you're selling gum, the fine is $100,000. And that's part of why it's so clean, right? Because there's no gum, there's no people spitting gum out. Some other random laws you should know about in Singapore: it's $1,000 fine if you spit on the sidewalk or public street. It's considered very, very rude if you point with your finger, like we do, like, "Oh, look over there." $1,000. Boop. No, there's not a fine. I'm getting confused. It's just rude. People are like, ugh, pointed, and showing the bottom of your feet. It's super super disrespectful to show anyone the bottom of your feet. So a lot of effort went into keeping our feet down because we're used to popping our feet up and being chill, but not so in Singapore. But it was still really cool, a lot of fun, super expensive. So if you're going there, just know bring all of your money and none of your gum. So our final rating is. Put a little review up on the screen right now of all the scores. Cost was a 3.5. Cleanliness was a 9. Transportation was a 9. Things to do 9. Welcomeness 4. That equals 69, which is just a little bit below what Seoul, South Korea got on our last one. That was at a 71, but that's really just because of the cost, right, and the welcomeness. So expensive. Lots to do. Very nice, very clean, but so expensive. If you're just an average dude like myself, it will give you a swift kick in the bank account. Uh, but that's it. If you have any questions, if you want to hear a review about a different country, there's a good chance I've been there. Put it in the comments. I'll see what I can do. Also, if you're looking for Seoul or anything else, right, check out our other videos where we review other awesome places. All right, bye.